Well, welcome to the sunny, welcome to the smoky Okanagan. Yeah, that ain't fog, folks. It's smoky here. Lots of forest fires burning. But hey, to the subject, I'm going to do another review on the CRF250L here. And this will be at 53,000 kilometers. I figure it'd be cool to do a review every 10,000 or so, eh? If you have one of these bikes, or if you're thinking of getting one, it might help to know how mine's doing every 10,000 kilometers. I ride this bike daily, pretty well daily. I've only missed, well, I don't know, maybe a total of a couple weeks in 5 years on this bike. Even in the winter, I seem to manage to get rides in. So it sees all sorts of weather and temperatures, and I think that makes a big difference, you know, on how reliable a bike is. I mean, if you can ride it through the winters, and our winters here, we get down there, you know, in temperatures way below zero or way below freezing. I think it's a pretty good test. This house coming up here, this one right here, that's our local Hells Angels headquarters. They always try to recruit Clyde and I, you know, because as you know, the Hells Angels, they love to get a Japanese small bore motorcycle on their in their club, but I'm playing hard to get. So the bike, the best way that I can express how happy I am with this bike is to tell you that I have only had one problem with the bike that wasn't related to normal maintenance, and that was the cam chain tensioner right there. Only that's not the stock one. It is a, can you see it, Krieger cam chain tensioners. I had to replace the stock CCT. I had 3 of them totally fail. So I went manual and kissed those problems goodbye. That is the only problem I have had with this bike. The wheel bearings have never been replaced. The swing arm bearings have never been re-greased, that type of thing. The headstock bearings are just showing some signs now of a tiny bit of notchiness when you turn the bars. Very slight, there's no play that way. But yeah, so nothing, literally nothing has gone wrong with this bike that maintenance hasn't corrected. I changed the oil, I changed the sprockets and chain, and, you know, do the usual things to keep it going. But that's all I've needed to do. So how sweet is that? As you can see, it's different than stock. You know, I've got a different seat on there, and different color scheme, and I've got different gearing, and I've got a opened out airbox, EJK fuel controller, Speedo DRD corrector, silicone rad hoses, different shift lever. You know, if anyone's looking for a dual sport on the smaller side that you can take up on trails and just point it anywhere and it'll go, you know, it's like a tractor on climbs and so forth. And it handles fairly well on rough trails, you know, at least in my estimation. It's not a dirt bike, but it handles well enough. You know, a lot of people will complain about suspension and say, well, you know, it's not adjustable, and it's super soft, and on. But I think a lot of people like to complain instead of just riding it in the way that it works. And that's what I do. And I mean, I don't go slamming through, you know, really rough stuff. And yeah, sure, then you'll find out its weak points. But if that's not what you do, then you don't really need better than this. In other words, you don't really need to pay for better than this. You can get, let's say, a WR250R and has better suspension than this. But it, from what I gather, I haven't ridden one, but people that I know that have, they say that maybe it's not quite as nice on the highway as this one. And it's taller, right? It's about, what, almost 3 inches taller on the seat. And that's a bit of an, I mean, yeah, it gives you a bit more clearance on the bottom, but this has got a lot of clearance, as you can see. But the taller seat makes it a little more awkward if you're on really rough ground and you got very unevenness and you've got to put a foot down, and 3 inches makes a difference. So, and for the type of riders in height that would be suitable. So this is, I think it's a little more all-round dual sport than the WR. And with a few modifications like I've done, you get the same power. You know, this has the same power as the WR250R. Who knows, maybe even a little bit more, especially at the lower to mid end. I think it does. Now, anyway. I don't know what else I can tell you. I mean, Yoshi exhaust system and such. Is that worth it? I mean, you know, a lot of people will say, well, I don't like the loud exhaust. I'd rather have stealth. And yeah, I get it. The stock system's plenty quiet, and you can modify it a bit for a little more free flow, but I don't regret putting on the Yoshi. It does give it more kick when combined with opening out the airbox and different air filter. I've got the K&N air filter and the fuel controller. When combined, you know, the exhaust does make a difference. So I like the extra power and kind of like the growl that it has. Obviously, I've got the aftermarket tank, the Acerbis. I really like that. You know, if you're going to do a mod, I would say better fuel range is a pretty handy thing to have. There's lots of things that I could talk about, but the nut of it is that this is a good bike. It's dependable. It's, as the saying goes, bulletproof. That's what I've found. I mean, at 53,000 kilometers, not to have to repair something that's broken other than that one thing. I'd say that that's excellent. Just maintenance, and very little of that. I think I'm going to end this video here, and I don't know, maybe I've forgotten to tell you something. Ask in the comments if I did, and I'll answer for sure. But that's my opinion. You know, I take good care of it. I mean, reasonably. Obviously, I don't clean it very well, but I do try to use very good oil. I use Motul 7100 full synthetic. It's an ester-based synthetic, and it's an excellent oil. I believe in protecting the engine good and changing the oil. I change it out every 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers. And I think that's important, and I think it's one of the reasons why I'm somewhat trouble-free. I also use engine ice coolant, the polypropylene rather than the polyethylene glycol, for two reasons. One, it really does keep the engine cooler when you're under stress in hot weather. You know, instead of the fan kicking on all the time, it kicks on a lot less. So engine running cooler, engine lasts longer. The other reason is that coolant is non-toxic. If you ever leak some coolant, you're not responsible for killing some cat or dog that loves the sweet taste. So thanks for tuning in, and if you have any comments or questions, tell me what I missed or whatever. Comment down below. Catch you on another ride.